Hi there, this is Joanne from TrueAuthenticPower.com from Tapping.me, and I'm also the creator of the program Catapulting to Confidence. I wanted to do an audio today about the topic of learning to fight. And I'm talking to fight against something, to fight for something. The focus is on fighting and working against something that's already there versus how do you work for something that you want. And a lot of us get into this habit. I've done it too. A lot of people are programmed to fight. And so I wanted to discuss this because I don't think some people really realize what they're doing with their energy. I didn't for a long time because it was a family learned way to cope, but it wasn't a good way to cope. It wasn't an effective way to cope. And it took me a long time to learn about energy and figuring out patterns and what was learned and how do I unlearn what I don't want and blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So in my family, arguing was kind of normal. It seemed like that's what you do. You have a disagreement, you kind of blow up a little bit into an argument or blow up a lot into an argument, and then you just kind of go on. Nothing got resolved. It was always fighting against. I don't think anybody was aware that that's what they were doing consciously, but that's what they were doing unconsciously. And so that's what I learned. We learn what we see before the age of 7. Now, that never felt good to me. I was always a little girl peacemaker and trying to lighten things up, and my energy was very happy and lighthearted. But I learned to be a fighter, to fight against, to fight against, to fight against. It became normal, and I didn't even know that that wasn't normal or that's not how it had to be, but that's what I learned. So I'm asking you to take a check. What did you learn about your family and how they resolved things, or did they always fight against? Because right now we're in an atmosphere of fighting, 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 and you may not be aware that there's a different way to do it or even how to begin to do that. So then I saw a show recently where the mother got so angry that she pulled a knife on her daughter that she supposedly loves and said she loves. But she's so full of rage and anger inside because of her experiences, what she saw, what happened to her growing up, and that became the norm. It's not normal, but it became her norm. And what did she pass on to her grown daughter who now had children? Her grown daughter had gotten so angry at her daughter, which would be the granddaughter of the original knife puller, and she pulled a gun on her daughter. Are you hearing that there's a pattern and escalation of I don't know what to do with all this anger and energy, so I do what I learned, and it can escalate and build momentum like something rolling downhill, gaining momentum. And we don't even realize that's what we're doing. It becomes so rote, it becomes so automatic, it becomes so learned and ingrained that we think that's how it is. That's not how it is. That's how we learned how it is. There are better ways. So then I participated in a group about a discussion that was geared towards ending hate. And honest to goodness, I sat in that group so full of frustration because nobody was really saying anything that hasn't been said a million times before. They weren't suggesting any action steps or anything that could be done differently in any way that, they were revisiting the past, in other words, going over and over the same thing. It's learned. This is how we've done it. This is how it goes. We have to do more of the same. No, we don't. But people who have to stay in that learned environment are doing it so subconsciously they don't even know that they're perpetuating something they don't want. It caused me pause to think, what are we doing here? There has been a fight going on for the same stuff for decades, decades. And how far have we gotten? It's not working. You may think it's working because it gets out some of the rage or the anger or it gives an avenue for fighting, but it's not really getting anywhere. My family never got to resolution. I never learned how to get to resolution because I wasn't taught how. It doesn't mean it's not possible. It doesn't mean there aren't better ways. It just means I never learned how. And I would suggest that a lot of people, including myself, like I said, have learned behavior and attitude and ways of doing things that are really working against us, causing the same thing that's going to go on for future decades and decades and decades. As I was sitting in that meeting, I just felt so frustrated and irritated, quite honestly, because what are we doing? We're talking the same, SSDD, same shit, different day. That's what that stands for. If you don't know, where are we going? What are we doing? There's no new steps. There's no new influence. There are no new tools being addressed into those scenarios. And so I sat there in full frustration, and here's why. A handful of years ago, I went to a school, and I've mentioned this probably in other podcasts and videos as well. I went to a school very programmed to be argumentative, disrespectful to the teacher. They fight against, the teacher fights against, the students fight against. It's all about fighting and discord. And in 90 minutes, I introduced sixth grade children how to do things in a better way to release the frustration, release the anger, release the tension, get in touch with the feelings that are regurgitating every time they get angry, addressing them with EFT tapping, and then putting in positive affirmations of what we wanted. Once they were so calm, you could see them almost ready to fall asleep. It's really amazing to watch EFT work and how sleepy people can get. What did we tap on? We tapped on their anger. We tapped on the frustration. Teachers don't listen to me. Nobody's there for me. I have to take care of myself. I feel scared. I feel lonely. I'm afraid I'm going to flunk. I can't do this. It's too hard. I don't get enough time to play. I'm always afraid. All of those things we tapped on. And then we put in the positives of what if I'm brilliant? What if no one ever recognized how brilliant I am? What if I could thrive being brilliant? What if I could be the best version of me that no one has seen yet? All of those kind of things. I don't remember exactly what we tapped on, but that was the gist. That's kind of how it went. We tapped on the negative and then we put in the positive. I was there for 90 minutes one time. Hear me when I say that because it's significant. Their homework improved. Their attendance improved. Their anger went down. Their disrespect went down. Their calmness in class, their ability to learn, everything improved. I have testimonials to prove it. So I'm in this group where they're talking the same stuff, different day, and I'm introducing tapping as a topic. There was one person that said she'd like to learn about energy tools, and she and I got in contact. But the overall influencers, group influencers, people who put this together had no questions. It was different, and not a single person asked how or why. Not a single person in the group spoke up to say how or why. That was shocking to me. I have testimonial proof. I have client proof. You have to know how to use the technique. But I have proof of improvement, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody asked any questions. Like, what is that? Tell us more. Nothing. That's shocking to me because that says we're doing what we've always done. We're going to talk about it to death. We're never going to get anywhere, and it's going to take a long time. In fact, one of the participants in that group said exactly that. This is going to take a long time to turn around. Well, it doesn't have to if you start educating people on their words, their language, their emotions, how to deal with those things that are overwhelming. Instead, they're regurgitating what they learned, how to fight against, how to be in resistance. Not about resolution, not about how do we change this and get to the other side, to the good stuff. It's all about the fight. So my point of doing this is, did you learn to fight? Did you learn from other people who came before you, the discord in their life, the traumas in their life, and has that energy passed on down to you, unbeknownst to you, unconsciously to you? You learned it and you're doing the same thing. I know I did for years, and I didn't know I was doing it. It wasn't until I started educating myself on there's got to be better ways. How do you do this? Let's go to counseling. Let's do something because this is not working. When it's not working and you keep doing it, is there a better way? Part of why I do these audios and videos that I do is to educate. Don't let it take decades for you before you start incorporating other tools that can help you. EFT, tapping, other energy tools, frequency machines. There are so many things that can change your vibration, but it can start with you paying attention. What have you learned to do? Did you learn about resolution and an easy road? Probably not. If you're miserable and you're fighting against things, that's what you learned. Well, it's time to unlearn those things because they don't work. They may work, in increments here and there, but it's a long fight. Why do you want to keep fighting? Educate yourself. Listen to these kind of audios. Find out about energy, law of attraction. It's about your vibration, how you use your words, actions, everything about you and your life out there will reflect what's going on inside. If you have turmoil and trouble and difficulty out there, it's that you're holding some beliefs or energy inside of you that is attracting more of that to you. Now, if you're new to energy, this may all sound like, yeah, right, lady, you don't know what you're talking about, but I do. I've transformed a lot of parts of my life and I've overcome a lot of difficulty that really had me on my knees, down on the ground, thinking, what's the point of doing this anymore? And I don't mean this as in business or audio videos. I'm talking this as in life. Why should I bother? This is too freaking hard. It's what I learned. It's what it was passed down from generations. It's probably being passed down through generations to you too if your life is difficult. Seek out. There are other ways to use your energy. If this resonates with you, I guess that's more what I want to say. If this resonates with you, if this is making sense to you, look at some of my other audios. You'll see that I changed through some of those beliefs as I was going through doing this. It's an evolution. We're always in evolution of getting better, hopefully. If you're learning about energy, you're going to be aware of things eventually that you've been doing that are really working against you. So I do these things to help. Please subscribe if this resonates for you. Please share it if you know other people who are doing the same thing, because that's what carries on for generations. Pain, suffering, difficulty, fighting, no resolution. Who wants to stay in that? Everybody wants a thriving, fun, joyful, abundant, lucrative life in some way, in all ways. I mean, that may not be everybody's desire, but I know a lot of people that would like that kind of life with those kind of adjectives instead of the stuff that they're living in, me included. It can always get better. And I'm sharing so that maybe it will get better for you too. If it resonates, again, subscribe, share it, and leave comments. If you have questions, you can always email me directly. And here's hoping you connect with your true, authentic power and not just the stuff that you've learned that's really working against you. Until our paths cross again, bye bye for now.